All right. So hi everyone. So today the idea of me presenting to you is about the versatility in confectionery through cacao fruit. So basically showing how cacao fruit can bring something, an added value to confectionery product. Um, so it's important to see maybe that market is now asking specifically for more than just one thing, one product. When we talk about food ingredients, it has to be about taste, obviously. If it's not good, then consumer will not go for it. But more than that, so we see millennials and centennials are really now going for the extra mile on the food product. So it has to be a healthy or bring something on this side, and obviously then the sustainability aspect or the social impact of the product. So that's a bit something that is necessary to really understand before deep diving, and also to address the right products to the market. So before we dive into the cacao fruit story, I wanted maybe to do a parallel with a fruit we all know, the apple, and just ask a little question. So would you grow an apple, harvest it, and just use the seed of the apple? When you know you can have a very nice juice with the pulp, you can do some technical ingredients with the peel of the apple. So obvious answer is no. And that's basically what we have been doing for centuries, if not thousands of years, with the cacao fruit, by using just the beans, so the seeds of the fruit, to make cocoa and chocolate. So basically the idea behind Cabosse Naturals is really to work with what's left. So the remaining 70% of the fruit, because the beans are only 30%. So we focus now on the pulp ingredients, and the idea then is to make something out of the cascara then in the near future. But that's really something quite interesting in terms of mindset shifts, because it's all about upcycling. It's all about making an impact and making sure we use the entirety of the fruit. And that brings then all the purpose of Cabosse Naturals. So you might then wonder, okay, cool, but the pulp is necessary for the fermentation of the beans, and this is a necessary step in the cocoa process, right, to develop the aromatic precursor for the cocoa. But we basically realized that you don't need 100% of the pulp to start this fermentation and have this aromatic precursors developing in there. So we can basically, most of the pulp, like a 90% can be used to make something more than just leave it around the beans and rotten and ferment. So that's why we really talk about upcycling and not recycling. So it's really valorizing the pulp and making the most out of it. So that brings actually some challenges, because for our range of ingredients, we don't want any fermentation. So it means we really need to be fast, and we have basically around 4 hours, 5 max, between the opening of the fruit and the processing of the beans, or the depulping of the beans, and the processing of the pulp. So that means, the necessity of having a very efficient supply chain. That also explains why, after thousands of years processing the cacao fruit for the beans, then only now pulp is hitting the market, is because it requires some very efficient supply chain. And then I would say, thanks to Barry Calbot, who started then in 2019 to think about the problem. And so it has been really a long time process thinking about how can we make the most out of the fruit. And that's why Barry Calbot created then Cabosse Naturals as a specific structure and brand for the group. So this brings really some benefits on our range. So we have obviously the quality system that we didn't have to start from scratch. We benefit from the one of Barry Calbot. Sourcing wise, I'm always talking about unlimited sourcing, knowing the sourcing power of BC. Supply chain, I was telling about the need for an efficient supply chain, and thanks to BC and its integrated supply chain, then that's making it possible. And linking, of course, to the quality of the product. And obviously, since we're on this since a few years already, the product expertise. So at transformation level, but of course at application level. And that's why today I really wanted to deep dive into the confectionery aspect of cacao fruit and what it can bring. And then, thanks to what we do with my team, on then exploring the possibilities with cacao fruit. So if you look at how do you get then these nice cacao fruit ingredients, we basically extract them from the beans. So as you understood, so that's where we get the raw pulp. Raw pulp is then filtered to obtain the pulp, which is the first ingredient we have. Then out of the pulp, we can produce juice. We can also produce concentrate and powder, as we saw in our last interview. So addressing all the possibilities then with cacao fruit. So you would wonder, okay, what this range could really bring to the finished product, to the applications. So the good thing again is that what cacao fruit brings is in line with what the market is asking for and needing. So we bring a very nice fruity taste. We call it even zesty fruity. So you have the fruity notes with some acidity, but kind of citrus-ish. But without the bitterness that you have on citrus. So that's why we really call it zesty fruity. It's well balanced then with the sweetness. Then the second aspect is the good for me. So in confectionery, it's a bit less the focus, but still it can bring some added value on the labeling. We know it can replace parts or all of the sugar, the refined sugars, in the application. So again, helping on this clean label trend. You can also potentially reduce the quantity of sugars by just adding the fruit sugars in the application. So some positive impact here. And last but not least, what we call good for the planet. So all the sustainability and social impact that cacao fruit has. So we will deep dive then into it afterward. But again, my take here is that thanks to the range, thanks to what cacao fruit is bringing, we can really talk about the next generation of pralines and tablets. Because it will have an impact on the taste, really bringing again this innovative taste, fruity taste, that still, comes from the same fruit as the cocoa, and then what makes the chocolate itself. So that's really helping and bringing a nice storytelling around the taste only. But it's not only taste, as we saw, zesty fruity aspect, and the impact then that consumers can have by having these confectionery products made out of cacao fruit. So social impact, environmental impact. And in practice, how can we translate it? Basically, I wanted to show here where we fit in a confectionery application, so specifically a tablet. And you can see it's basically everywhere, right? It can be in the mass with powder, mixing the powder in the mass. It can be in a like cacao fruit pieces application. We have a customer of ours who's producing some cacao fruit pieces that can be used as inclusions. But it can be even like the whole fruit chocolate of Versatility, and using our pulp to sweeten the chocolate and make it a whole fruit chocolate with no refined sugars added, only sugars from the cacao fruit. And this can be the chocolate. Then you can think about even ganache, so water-based fillings, using the concentrate or using the pulp. You can think about creating some jelly fillings, so some kinds of fruit wraps that you would use also as a filling. And then you can have even the caramel version of it. I mean, it really fits very well with what we call brown notes, and so honey, caramelish notes, and then the fruitiness will really bring again and boost a bit the sweetness of the product. So again, fitting kind of everywhere. And when you think about the pralines applications, it's kind of the same thing. Here you can really play. What we see is that for tablets, it really requires really some easy to apply and to use at industrial scale, because that's mostly for industrial players. On the pralines, you have both the gourmet segments, who can be very creative, and the industrial players that will need some easy to use solutions, and that can also bring this innovation to then an industrial product. So as a ganache, as a base, as a bottoming for the pralines, again in the couverture, you can also even imagine on the in a white chocolate with cacao fruit powder on the couverture. Then you have again the jelly that is possible. You can have the caramel, the layering possibility. So that's really, I mean, I think these two slides can just summarize the versatility of cacao fruit. and how it can really brings added value to the confectionery segment. So maybe something important to address, because we've seen the taste, we've seen how versatile cacao fruit ingredient can be, but I thought it was also important to address and to mention and explain on the messaging, on the impact that consumers can have when going for such finished product. So cacao fruit ingredients that we produce, they're really driving the impact, and we really try to have a positive impact on the local communities, on the environment, and at different levels. So the first aspect is obviously the economic impact, processing and transforming all the products in the origin country. So creating some jobs there, basically. The second aspect is the social impact we have. So not only buying the beans, but also the pulp to the farmers. So meaning increasing then the salary of the farmers. And then the last one is the environmental impact. So using more out of the fruit. So now the pulp on top of the beans, and in the near future, we're also willing to use the husk itself. So working on developing them the right ingredient with it. So that's why now really focusing already on the pulp is bringing some added value and impact on local communities. So that's a bit what I was saying. Local communities means farmers, but yeah, you can even extend it, because farmers equals families behind farmers. So when you're impacting one man's job, then it means you're also impacting positively the family. Then on the local economy, so creating the jobs as mentioned before. And the interesting aspect that we didn't really anticipate with working with the specific cooperative that we were working with, and buying them then the pulp on top of the beans, is that they were much more focused on the entire fruit, not only the quality of the beans, but also the rest of the fruit. So we saw an increase of the quality, overall quality of the fruit, and also pride, because then they see their work is much more valorized. And that's, I think that's also part of the positive impact that can, working with the cacao fruit brings, right? It's not always about finance, not always, but that's an important aspect, obviously, but it's also about valorizing what's behind in terms of work, in terms of knowledge, and in terms of results. So increasing overall the quality of the fruit, which is impacting the revenue more, and impacting also positively then the overall quality of the ingredients. So on the sustainability aspect, we're working with the Upcycled Food Association, which is an NGO based in the US. They're also delivering the upcycled certification. It's valid for US and Canada, and they're willing to extend it to Europe. So now they're part of where foods come from. It might then be accelerated. So I know in the UK market, it's something that is requested often by the customer that we are talking with, because it's also showing a great impact. And we can see just after what the reason behind it, why this certification would help on the communication and also on the choice of the consumers. So the Upcycled Food Association has made a calculation on the carbon footprint of food waste. So if the food waste would be a country, it would be like the third country after China and US in terms of carbon emissions. So basically, we can have only a limited impact on the CO2 emissions of these two countries, so US and China. But as a consumer, we can all have a very big impact by dealing with the food waste problem. And that's with the positioning of the Upcycled Food Association, and also making sure that the industry is having a shift through this upcycling, through this waste stream management, and making the most out of the raw ingredients, raw materials. Because if you look at the overall food industry, so 30% of all food is wasted from production to consumers globally. If you look at fruits and vegetables, we're around 50%. And also, it's quite often for reasons which are not very justified, because the fruit is not with the right shape, right color. it's again this the fact that every retailer, every player wants to have something throughout the standardization of the standard, that brings also some of these problems. And that's why then we see more and more retailers now trying to show and to use more out of the fruit and vegetable produced. So when it comes to cacao fruit, it's a 70% chunk that is not used, as we saw before. And really the mission of Cabosse Naturals is to reduce these 70% to zero. Basically, that's really the mission. We are still working. I mean, that's not going to be an overnight trip, but yeah, step by step, every kg that we can upcycle is definitely a victory to fight this food waste and optimize it. So on the certification itself, so this is the mark that you can see on the right of the slide. You have some players in the US, so retailers, which have now even some dedicated alleys for the upcycled certified products. You have, for example, Whole Foods markets, which is very active on this. You have Kroger's also. They even have some of their private label using upcycled ingredients and having the upcycled certified mark. So it's not only for premium positioning, not only for big brands, but it can also be for retail products. So opening again a new era of let's say influencing the consumers, not really influencing, but let's say more making sure that consumers are making the right decision and making sure that they have an impact if they want to have it by buying these products. So communicating around the efforts of the company that is producing this product and selling it. So again, big impact and something that is now more than just a trend. If you look at the players, whether it's on the ingredients world or even on FMCG products, it's now a must-have and a must-do when it comes to upcycling. Talking about the market itself, actually, we saw that in the recent trend studies and market studies, and that cacao fruit is definitely now on. So as we said, Cabosse Naturals has been around for a few years already. And the good news is that we see now it's not anymore about justifying. It's more now about saying, hey, this is here. I mean, you're looking for some solution. You're looking for something tasty. You're looking for something that has a positive impact on the planet and the people. Yeah, cacao fruit is part of it. And yeah, that starts to be known. More and more products on the market, more and more players developing some application with it. So that's really the good news. So awareness has been risen. It has been also let's say a work from the last few years on explaining what it's about, kind of educating about cacao fruit. It's a fruit. It has a fruit taste. It still comes from the same the fruit as the cocoa, but then we're on the fruit world and we bring more than just one aspect of it. So using more of the fruit and then having a positive impact. And then I wanted also to finish this the presentation on just showing how market products are making the bridge between the story I just told you about, the impact that it has on the planet, on the people, and their own products. So this is an example of Van den Bulke. So just for information, Van den Bulke, they won 2 years ago the gold medal for innovation with their praline using cacao fruit ingredient in the garage, in the filling. And now they have this pulp and shock, which is kind of a version 2.0 of this praline that had this award. And they really make the communication around it easy so the consumers can understand easily what it's about, right? So talking about the quantity, as we just saw, quantity that is not used in the pot, and how then consuming and going for this type of product application can have a positive impact on the farmers. So that's one thing. Then we have another one which is quite hot on the list because they just a few days ago they won the second prize at the ISM again on the innovation award. So that's Gudrun Group. They had a very nice launch event a few weeks ago with their More campaign. So they both propose it as a co-manufacturing product, so proposing it for all brands or retailers around the world. But they also have their own brand, which is called Up, and that's the one who won the prize. And again, here, all about upcycling, all about doing more out of what's available on the planet, using the most of what they have. So again, making sure all the raw material that is sourced is used in the most efficient way. So these are two quite good examples on one, products, some successes as well, market recognition, and of course how it's promoted, marketed, communicated around this. So I mean, you don't need much when you have something that makes sense. You don't need much when you have something that tastes good. It's just a matter of showing it and then tasting it, and that works by itself. So that was more or less what I wanted to share with you. Now I leave the floor to Caitlin for the questions.
Thank you so much, William, for presenting here at Confectionery Live and for participating again. It was great to see your presentation. Why did you want to talk about this with us today?
Sure. Well, I mean, as you could hear, it's more about talking about a product, right? It's more a passion around it. It's like the opportunities that it brings to the industry. In general, like it's just a purpose itself, basically. Like every impact you can have when doing your job makes the job pretty much interesting. And I think today's presentation was really about showing what's the passion behind Cabosse Naturals, but even beyond that, like what we can bring, what change we can bring to the industry thanks to this upcycling, and obviously then the positive impact that we have on the local communities thanks to this upcycling.
Yeah, I think that came through quite clearly, which is really nice to see. You showed, the different product launches coming to market. So it's great to see the growth in products with using upcycled cacao fruit ingredients. How have you seen interest in reducing waste among generations? Is it generational, or how does it vary?
So it's actually a very good question, because I think we can all relate to when we were younger versus now in terms of behavior as consumers, right? There has been a shift from, I think, the older generation from doing nothing or not much to now really trying to do as much as possible. And for the younger generations, that's something that is quite natural, quite normal, not having a negative impact on the planet. So we could say it's generational. So that's why you could see also the launches are also addressing a bit more to the Gen Z and all this type of consumers. But I'm pretty sure it's broader than that. It's now, I think the conscious is becoming at every generation level. So yeah, it might have some more resonance and more makes more noise for the Gen Z and younger generations, because for them it's something normal and obvious. So seeing some industry players then going in these directions is kind of aligning with their own interest and their own way of consuming. But in general, I would say if we see industry players changing a bit their way of doing things, it means it's not just one generation, right? It then brings everybody aboard, and that's, I think, a great thing, because it's personally, I think it's necessary as well. So
absolutely. I think what's very interesting about using this kind of ingredient is where food waste was often talked about from the perspective of the consumer, you are now giving chocolate manufacturers the chance to help reduce impact on their side. Based on conversations that you've had with chocolate manufacturers, what have been their main questions around formulating with these ingredients?
So the good thing is that they know about cacao fruits, or at least they know where the beans come from, right? So they know there is something happening with the pulp. They know the pulp is necessary. So the main question would be, does it impact the bean quality? Like, to make sure that we don't create another waste stream, which would be illogical, like against what we want to do, right? So no, we don't create an additional waste stream. Then it comes to the ingredients range itself. Like, okay, what would you advise me to use in my ganache? Which ingredient should I use then in the mat? So it's more about like the technical aspect of it, and then more on the maybe the consumer side. So again, it comes from all, if you think about industrial, but also at artisan level, it comes from all aspects, from the origin, the supply, the sourcing, more the technical aspect, R&D side, plus then of course the marketing and commercial aspect. So on the product itself, on the technical side, again, we can really bring some added value on the taste at all level, whether it's the water-based filling or water-based applications. In the case of confectionery, of course, it will be more around the filling and the ganache and these kind of things. But of course, we can also play in inclusions, in toppings, in the mass with solid inclusions. And as we've seen with some applications as well, in the mass as well, replacing the sugar, the refined sugar, to make it a whole fruit chocolate, as we call it, a whole cacao chocolate. So really bringing and answering that question on the technicalities. In the end, they're used to work with some fruit ganaches or fruit powders in the chocolate, right? So we're not just another fruit, right? We're the cacao fruit. So the bridge is even easier for them to make in their application. So that's why at technical level, they really love it. It brings the taste innovation. It brings also the nice storytelling for marketing. And it's really a bridge around what can you do for the product, but also then what can you do for all what's around, so for the people and the planet itself. So in the end, everybody's happy, right? R&D or technical people or chocolatiers, they can have this innovative taste and play with ingredients at all level of the finished product. And then the commercial teams are happy because then we're bringing a super powerful storytelling together with something concrete. It's not about, we're not selling wind, right? We're just trying to show the impact that we have, and we don't need to convince anyone because we know the impact we have. So that's also, I think, something that the industrial or our customers or partners understood very well, is that in the end, it's more than a story. It's really an actual impact that we can have, and hopefully one day change the cocoa industry by just making cacao fruit the norm and making cacao fruit a standard fruit that is being used, of course, in confectionery because that's the easy way. But we see a lot of other segments and sub-segments where it's being used. If you think about, of course, ice cream is an easy bridge as well. We have even seen some confectioners that could open the ice cream segment thanks to the cacao fruit, because then the bridge was easy. Their brand or their company was known for cocoa and chocolate products, and then they could make an ice cream using some chocolate inclusions and cacao fruits in it. So that's also relating to their kind of core business and core products. We also have a lot of applications in beverages. You can go from standard mix mocktails. We even call it like water. So cacao fruit waters and these kind of things. So blending water, but it goes as far as fermented beverages, so kombucha, beer, even wine now. So it's super wide. Again, every new application, every new project we have with a partner or a customer is something we learn, is something innovative, and bringing this to the market. So again, to your initial question, what are the standard questions that we have from confectioners? It's wide question, like around everything. But what's exciting is that now they understood what's cacao fruit, and more they know exactly how to use it. So that's quite exciting.
Definitely. Thank you, William. And I think your presentation demonstrated it quite well, but how has your involvement around upcycling cacao fruit and reducing waste to that level provided inspiration for others in the industry?
So, well, we don't, I wouldn't claim that we are influencing the full industry. I mean, we try to do it step by step at our own level. Of course, being part of a bigger group gives us definitely some voice. and that's why I was really talking about the confectionery industry, where I hope and I'm pretty sure that things are going to change, and they are starting to change already. But yeah, being part of the Upcycled Food Association, that's our way of also impacting it, like making it logical. We see other partner, other people in the association are ingredients manufacturers. They are also FMCG producers, so it's super wide. And this shows also that they want to make an impact. They want to make a change. So again, participating in the association, promoting it, developing more and more the upcycle certification. I think that's how we can leverage the upcycling and fight the food waste. And then, of course, putting cacao fruit in more and more applications, product or segments makes it also easier for the other industry players to move into this direction of fighting food waste.
I think that's a good note to end on. So thank you very much, William. It was a pleasure to speak
Sure.
with you here at Confectionery
My
Live.
pleasure.